Now that's significant. The Market Research Podcast.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us on this latest episode of Now That's Significant, a market research podcast. This is your host Michael Howard, the head of marketing at Infotools. Today we're joined by Todd Kirby, a seasoned marketing research and insights professional with over 2 decades of experience transforming evidence-based research into strategic, revenue-driving decisions. Most recently, Todd led analytic storytelling and customer consulting for Sentient Decision Science's flagship advertising platform Subtext, contributing to award-winning campaigns, including Cannes recognition in 2023 for creative excellence. With expertise in System 1 and System 2 methodologies, Todd has built revenue-generating research teams, including a standalone data arm at The Mighty, and has worked across industries such as auto, CPG, media, and retail. Known for his collaborative leadership and passion for mentorship, Todd brings a unique perspective on how brands, advertising, and technology intersect with consumer lives. Welcome to the show, Todd.
Hello, and thank you so much, Michael. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Working in advertising in a prior career, I can really appreciate what you were able to do at Cannes for creative excellence. So congratulations.
Yeah, appreciate that. And we actually also received some recognition this year for some work we did in audio ad innovation as well at SMR as well. So got to add that to the bio as well. Just very excited about some of the work we've been diving into or we had done in the past. So and it really portends a really interesting way to the future.
That's right. I mean, it just shows you as well how marketing research, when it's done well, it contributes to real world benefits for organizations.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And that is truly my passion, has been really bringing consumers together with brands as best as we can and to help marketers just make better decisions. And I just feel like now we're at the precipice of really able to have this industry turn a corner to really elevate the work. So I'm super excited.
Nice. So that's a great intro for our discussion. With our podcast, it is called Now That's Significant, and the way we do start it is having our guests share the most significant thing that they're going to talk to us. So you have the mic.
Well, thank you so much, Michael. I think the way I see it is there's really, I don't know, 3 things that are coming together at once. And it's up to us as a market research industry to leverage all of them at the same time. What are those 3 things? Well, there's AI, of course, right? You can't go anywhere without anyone in the world, in our industry, more than many others actually, referring to the prominence and influence of AI. So that's one. Then you alluded to some of the great creative work and some of the work that's been recognized recently. Some of that comes from more advanced research methods. And now we're at the point of using things like behavioral science and emotion-based measures and implicit psychology at scale and affordably so that marketers can now have access to more in-depth insight that they never had before. So that's number 2. And then the third piece is stuff that you're wholly familiar with, is really the platform piece. It's the technology piece in our space and the ability for our market research suppliers to really create really easy to use interfaces and technology platforms so our clients can access insights really at the touch of a button or the snap of a finger. So when you combine all 3 of those things, the market research industry is poised to make a jump from really 1960, if you will, into where are we at now? 2025. And I'm really excited about that future because, like I mentioned, it'll just bring consumers and brands even closer together. And that's really the goal, I think, all in all.
No, it's a really good viewpoint. And yeah, I mean, it brings together several of the podcasts that we've had on this show. So it's going to be an interesting discussion.
Yeah, Yeah, great. Yeah, I mean, I think to just ladder on a little bit to that, um, you know, there was a recent survey that went out. I don't know if you saw it. It was commissioned through, I believe, iHeartMedia, through Pushkin Industries, which is Malcolm Gladwell's firm. And they did a survey around how do Americans feel about the level of advertising that reaches them. Now, I understand it's legacy research, and of course, you're asking people's opinions, and on that's one way of doing it, right? But nearly 40, I think it was 44%, nearly half of Americans are saying that brands do not connect with them through advertising in a meaningful way. And that is a problem. And that is a huge gap. I would call that an insight gap, and one that has really been prevalent in our industry for a long, long time. You look at things like legacy media measurement systems. We just saw yesterday that Paramount and Nielsen just came to agreement finally on the new panel and measurement system they're bringing out. Oddly, right before the Grammys aired, right? Incredible timing. And, things like this need to be upgraded. And we're at the position now where we can bring deeper, more scalable insight through those three things that I mentioned, and particularly advanced research methods, because I think the integrity in the data will not be lost. And people just need to be convinced and persuaded that this is really a good way forward for them. I still think there's probably a bias, if you will, in the marketplace amongst the buyers, the research buyers, against really adopting more advanced research methods. I don't know. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, there's an interesting thing where we're starting to get a lot more, I guess, evidence to support these like AI, etc. So it's not just AI by itself, but it's integrating it, like you're saying, with more advanced market research or modern techniques, etc. So it's not just the one thing, but it's having that holistic view, which is giving us confidence again, and confidence is everything in our game.
Right, right, right. I think as it relates to AI, we've got a lot of work to do. We're all playing catch up as it is to try and understand even what it is and the parameters around it and how we use it as practitioners in the industry. However, that's a really good opportunity for us to come together. And I've seen recently, just even in the past couple of weeks, that there's been a lot of chatter around developing currency standards, transparency standards, frameworks for usage from some of the major industry giants like the Insights Association, SMR, ARF, and even in the UK, the MRS are doing and coordinating on a global standard. So that's all great news. But my point is, it does come down to when you are using AI in market research, how ethical and principled are we individually in taking that on? And that's where I've really talked to a lot of people about, no matter how many standards or currency, is out there, how much currency is out there, it is incumbent on you to make sure that you are responsible. And, I think the jury will be out on how people are going to leverage that. Any technology is neutral in and of itself. It's how it's used that really becomes the key point. And I think it's an opportunity for folks to get back to principle-led or integrity-led research, and AI is an opportunity to really dive into that, in my opinion.
Absolutely. So, one of the big things we saw in 2024 is just the budget squeeze.
Yeah.
Brands, while there's still been advertising, they seem to have been very cautious in terms of programs that they're starting up. Um, when we think about AI, I guess, and integrated qual at scale, how has that eliminated traditional challenges like time and cost?
Well, I think it's just expedited the process through and through. So when you think really about, particularly on the from any sort of project to project basis, there's always, data collection, and there's always going to be some sort of cleaning of that data, and then some sort of analysis around that data, and then presentation and so forth, right? That's generally been the process for us. The AI part of that, particularly on the front end, really expedites the ability to collect data. I think the things that we need to think about now are transparency and data integrity. How are we collecting that data? Is it being transparently shared with our clients? And is it high quality? Does it match the data that we would potentially expect? Have you tested that data collection previously? But what we've seen thus far is that, yeah, it not only matches, if you do it right, it not only matches our previous data collection methods, but it could even exceed it. And I think the challenge will be for us to, again, make sure that we reiterate that AI was used in the process to supplement, complement, what have you, the data sampling piece of it. I think the same questions will help expedite the data cleansing and the coding and some of that work, so that we can focus on what we're good at, which is insights and consulting and helping brands make better decisions and working with our clients and solving their own challenges. So, it should just shrink that process from, well, I shouldn't give numbers, but because it really varies from project to project base, but from a project to project basis, but it will expedite that process significantly, for sure. We've already seen it.
No, true. And I know some of the big agencies are out there looking at using AI to play some part in helping to clean up sample quality, etc. as well. So it's not the silver bullet necessarily, but definitely can be used, the processing power, etc., and some clever stuff underneath the hood just to help with all that too.
Yeah, no question. And I hope, and I've heard also from my agency colleagues that they are all in on ensuring, because, when you think about it, their clients are in the same boat as everyone else's clients, which is we have the challenges of expedited delivery timelines. We need to get deeper and better insights at scale. And we need to do it cost affordably. So agencies are in the same boat to try and provide that as well. So when we're all in this together, we can bring to the table key leaders and discuss what are the key frameworks, what are the use cases of making sure that AI is done responsibly to leverage all three of those things, right? So my agency colleagues are on board. I think they are using AI sometimes in different ways than what I have seen, in terms of, if you come from the strategic research side, there's also the data side, the data analytics side. And so those two things probably need to come together in terms of the attribution models and the media mix models and their own proprietary, software networks and things like that, and using AI. But the issues are the same.
Mm. So when we think about emotional and scientific insights, how can the industry help to enhance data quality required to deliver more robust insights using these?
Well, I think I think I would start with their own biases. So doing research that is perhaps not a traditional method needs to be tested and validated, right? So, but these advanced research scientific methods in terms of subconscious measurement and behavioral science and applied marketing and neuromarketing and all of that is now gaining traction because precisely it's overcoming those biases. It's becoming more mainstream. Now, that said, there is still a lot of pushback from creatives, from agency folks, from even buyers, research buyers, who are just like, you know what, I'm used to my own brand tracking. I'm used to my own market mix models. Why would I change if this is really our norm and I've got a deadline and this is quote unquote good enough data? Why would I change? Why would I change everything and really make things more complicated. And we need to overcome as an industry these kinds of biases. And the way we do it is we appeal to principles and integrity and truthfulness. Go back to why you're marketing in the first place and why you're buying a consumer research and insight, marketing research and insight firm. And you're doing it to help inform you to make better marketing decisions. And in order to do that, you're selling yourself short unless you're getting holistic data. And if we've now reached the point where we can measure things holistically at scale and affordably, then you should at least test and validate that against your current processes. And that's how we're asking right now.
No, good words. So on these newer methodologies, they can often be siloed. I mean, like in how historically the likes of your quant, your quals have been siloed too. But how can we bring these together and integrate them as you're postured?
Yeah, well, I don't have a silver bullet answer to that. It's going to take a lot of grit and a lot of hard work and a lot of negotiation and education. But I think more than that, I would even rely on some of our own behavioral economics principles that we appeal to irrationality. We appeal to what are the things that are holding people back. Maybe it's not education. Maybe it's more that we demonstrate that if we're better together, that you're going to get things done more quickly. You're going to check things more off your list, and you are going to do things better as a result. Um, I think we need to just sort of get folks in a room and talk about the issues because the divisiveness is probably more of a killer than anything else. So I would probably start with like industry conferences. I would say like some of the leading organizations in our world really organizing things together so that people can talk about the issues at hand and with the goal of coming together. And it only starts from the ground up like anything. And I just think if people are willing to agree to the overarching goal of improving our level of consumer insights for our clients and elevating that, then we can start there. I just think we need to bring people together and start having the discussions. We haven't even done that. We're starting to on some of the social networks and like I think some of the associations putting together standard documents and things like that. But we need to all bring it together, all elements of the ecosystem, whether it's a media agency, a creative agency, a brand, marketer, or a market research supplier, or everyone in between. We need to bring the leaders together and provide those perspectives.
Well, in our introduction, we mentioned the success that you've received at Cannes in creative excellence, and you've proved that when it is working together and not siloed, then you get good
Yeah.
results. So I guess championing and celebrating the wins that you have
Yeah.
is a big thing. It's not the creatives, the marketing department that have been necessarily the big winners on this. There's been other contributors to it that have played key roles, and that's market research when done well.
Right. Agreed. And, I've spent, some of my career really trying to merge the quality of strategic media insight. So like, for example, what is the impact of the environment of an ad? But you can't do that without understanding the actual creative of the ad. So the two need to work together. And I've long, talked about the abundance value. 1 + 1 = 3 when you do this. And we've come to show this in much of our award-winning work is that when you do leverage the environment and the perceptions of that environment or context, as people call it now, with the content or creative, you do see demonstrable impact and significant results in both engagement of the ad and impact of that ad and that campaign, particularly over time. People will respond emotionally and at the cash register as well. So we need to bring things together and not separate them. That's been my philosophy for a long time, and I'm still on that.
So you've just mentioned about the marketing and media planning background that you have. How have you been able to make the most of this in working with and I guess bringing alongside you those that have got more of a traditional background?
Yeah, thanks for that question. It's really good. It hasn't been easy. When I started on this path to try and bring media insights and creative insights together to help advertisers just do better, um, I thought it was going to be a pretty easy, role, but it wasn't because they weren't used to it. It was change in the industry, in the ad agency industry. So we had to start from scratch. So I generally take a stakeholder perspective, try and do listening tour interviews with folks first and foremost to understand their key challenges and maybe get underneath their obstacles. And then I will come back and I will start to think about what are some small wins where they can see and literally see illustrations of success of what I'm talking about. Because when I was starting on this, some 20 years ago, it was like met with raised eyebrows and laughter. Like, what do you mean? What is this strategic media research, and what is that you're doing? And I had to kind of talk about this environment thing, and nobody got it. But once we started studying it, and once we got funding, we were able to start. Was lucky enough to join a team early on that started a strategic research competency within Publicis Group devoted to one client. And we got to have a really meaningful budget to do primary research and syndicated research around that. And that really proved the value. And from there, we were able to build a competence out really through the Publicis Group and other divisions. And then ultimately, even that took a life of its own, even throughout the ad agency industry, as you see even today through comms planning and human experience planning and all those different titles. They've kind of evolved over time. They've gotten away from the original ethos, but you get the idea that you have to start small. You have to start small with some small wins. You have to listen to folks. What are their key issues? And then apply what you think is going to work, and do a lot of test and learn along the way. And that's how it works. I've done that at 3 different places. I've built 3 different competencies around what I would call strategic research at different size firms, at different type of firms, and to varying degrees of success. But all along the way, I've had the same process. Make sure you listen to the folks along the way, pivot where you need to, and develop the products as so long as it's true to your principles and what you believe in, you're going to succeed. So that's what's happened.
It sounds like your experience with strategic media planning and mine with technology are very similar.
Yeah.
Has your background given you a different perspective on tech and its use within research?
Tech is really an important piece, and I saw it rising probably really around 2018, 2019. I really saw, where you couldn't take your eyes off some of the platforms that were being developed in our world. And early on, it was around, data analysis tools and things of that nature, where you can just easily throw in raw data, get crosstabs done, and get your work done that way. Then it became a lot more sophisticated. And suddenly the market research suppliers started to leverage new ways of accessing or of putting clients in front of it so you could test and learn in real time. And what's happened is that's grown immensely. The tech engineers, super smart folks who I've worked with, are extremely good at what they do. I think the next step, and some folks are doing this now, of course, the next step is, of course, is to listen to the marketing end of it. Because if our end goal is to make sure that our clients and our brands and the people that pay for our services are able to use the platform in a way they can get in and get out quickly, get those insights, and then get those decisions back to clients as best as they can, then we're in a much better shape. I think some of the iterations that I've come across and that I've been involved with have more to do with like adding and subtracting features or bugs or user interface type things. But if we aren't taking into account the marketer's point of view, then I think we're losing a little bit of efficiency there. And that would, for me, be the next step in the technology space. What do you think about that? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, the tech industry prides itself in being customer centric. That's not always easy.
Yeah,
Building technology is not straightforward. It's not a simple case of just adding features. You have to be cognizant of your overlying platform, and when you go and add something, it can have an impact on several different other areas as well. There's bugs to fix as well, things that don't quite work. There's multiple new platforms or operating systems that are opening up. There's so much stuff that can impact that there, but you really need to listen to your customers and be mindful of what they're needing, and then work on that while you're still trying to streamline your platform. You've got other things that might at work as well when the amount of data that we're expecting our platforms to operate on are just increasing exponentially every year. So you've got bigger and bigger and bigger projects going on, and
right.
people are expecting things to operate faster and faster and faster, and that's another thing at stake as well. So there's a huge balance with these platforms trying to meet the needs of consumers whilst trying to still make the world a better place, like market research has got the potential to do.
For sure. I couldn't agree more. I think that was one of the main reasons I got into the business long ago was to help make the world a better place, help make marketers connect better with consumers, resonate with them. You know, resonate is not a word we have used much until recently. Engagement was the key word, right? But when you think about our industry historically, at least on the media measurement side, engagement was equivalent to time spent.
Yeah.
And that's not, I don't know how those two can be equal, right? Just because you spend time with something, does that really mean you're emotionally engaged with something? I'm not quite sure where that came from, but I get it. It was a proxy for the time. But now we have much better, more meaningful methods to measure emotion, to measure engagement. And there's no reason quantifiably we can't do that and do it at scale. There are some companies out there that are doing it, and it does make the world a better place if we do it well and we do it right and we stick to our principles. It really is upon us, incumbent on us as practitioners and the new generation of industry professionals coming out today from grad school to learn how to connect the dots on all of those things. And I'm excited as well for the future. So I can't wait.
Hmm.
Can't wait.
So thinking about system one and system two thinking, and considering what we've been talking about today, how does market research balance asking simple questions like, what do you think about the brand, with uncovering deeper, more implicit insights?
Well, I think those two go together. I know in some of the work that I've been lucky enough to work on, you start with the brand, of course, and you start with the brand question. You start with the research and what they're trying to answer, which decisions they're trying to inform, and how will it impact the industry then overall at the end. Then you can tie your measurement to that, and I think the measurement underneath, like when you open up the hood, not all of that needs to get shared with the client, because a lot of it then serves to then potentially confuse things. And I'm not advocating hiding things. What I'm saying is methodologically, you need to share all of the nuts and bolts of how you get to data, but you also there's a lot that goes underneath that in terms of aggregating AI and emotion data. There's a lot that goes underneath in the algorithms. There's a lot that goes underneath into the analytics. And once you start getting into those things, unless you're talking to somebody who's interested in that or a statistical sort of savant, that doesn't serve the client. The client needs to know that you're doing things honestly. Yes, of course. And I've been banging that drum forever. And that you're coming to things honestly, but ultimately they want to know, are your insights credible and projectable? And are your insights worth activating? And for that, you need to focus on the larger truths. The methods underneath are complicated, and everyone's got a different one. But you can't go in without knowing sort of what some of those nuances are and trying to explain all that to a client, because it really is coming down to, are you advocating some change to the client? Is the client going to be on board with some change? And they have to be comfortable with that. So any change means different data, right? Just by definition. And so are they on board with that? Well, if not, then you need to figure out how and why. So that's what I would say to that. It's a complicated question. And I think we just need to be honest with ourselves about what it is that we're collecting, how we're collecting it, and what we want to share, and what's going to serve, the client's solutions in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. So, final question, sort of two parts. What excites you most about the future of market research? And I guess, where do you see the biggest opportunities for growth?
Well, I love it. I just, for a long time, we've been in legacy research methods, both from a media measurement standpoint and even a creative testing standpoint and a just marketing research standpoint. So not much has changed in a very long time. The process has been the process, either qualitatively or quantitatively. You get 8 people in a focus group and you ask them about a particular product, or you get 300 people from a random sample, but then you weight the data because 90% of it is female, and you're like, what is going on here? And it takes like 6 weeks to deliver a project, but why are we banging our heads up against this door? Now, what I'm most excited about is, in 5 years or less, I predict that consumer insights will be seamlessly integrated into strategic decision-making through AI-driven technological models. And if we're still relying on traditional survey work or traditional focus work alone, and I'm not saying there's not a role, there's always a role for this. But if we are solely not evolving and static, then we're missing the boat. And it's incumbent upon us as an industry to elevate all boats so that that's it, right? Elevate all boats so that we're all working to the same goal. So I'm super excited because the capabilities are here. We're here. There's nothing we can't do. It used to be clients had to choose between quality, speed, and cost. Well, now you can have all three, right?
That's right. I mean, what comes up time and time again is that there's always going to be the need for asking a person, whether face-to-face or online, about things right here and now. That's not going to go away. That's going to become very valuable, and we're going to have to work out ways to reward that. But there are always going to be those other AI-driven sort of data collection tools, etc., as well, which will help give you the mass. So yeah, it's a very interesting mix that we're moving into.
Yeah, my advice would be for not just senior level practitioners or anyone in the insights industry, but even folks in school now, to embrace it. Embrace this time. If you're at all interested in consumer psychology, marketing, and understanding what makes people tick and why people buy things and how people get stimulated to buy things, now is the time to hop in it, man. It's like a green grass. I get excited even just like thinking about it. I wish I was in grad school right now. I'd be studying everything that I could on this. So yeah, I'm super excited for the future. I wish I know others are, but some are more skeptical that, of course, job replacement is an issue and things like that. But we have to embrace it and adapt. And I think in every other technological advancement in the past, we've been able to do that. And this is upon us, and it provides an opportunity, right, to adapt. And I feel like we need to embrace that.
Well, society has changed probably more over the last 10 years than it has across any other 10-year decade in our past. And
Right.
that means that people are having to change and adapt. So they're not necessarily sure on how life is going to be. So brands need to be across that. Market researchers have been people that have always been key to understanding how people are thinking. That's what we've thrived on. It's what we try to do. So it is a great time to be in the industry from that perspective.
Right. Yeah. So I'm just super excited. I think there's a number of companies that I'm seeing sort of pop up, whether it's startups or more established companies that are getting better funding. And I think there's more excitement. There's more enthusiasm around our world. And, for far too long, insights have taken a back seat, or studying insights, I should say, has taken a back seat, in my opinion. And I don't think, I feel like I'm dating myself, but if you remember the old movie Fatal Attraction, but I feel like we're at this point where we're like Glenn Close in the kitchen, and she confronts Michael Douglas, and she says, I won't be ignored, Dan, or something like that, something to that effect. And I just feel like we're at that point where insights can't be ignored any longer, and it can only help. It's not going to hurt. So that's what I would say.
Very true. Well, Todd, a very big thanks for joining us on the show today.
Well, thank you, Michael. It's been a pleasure. I've super enjoyed it. I hope to folks tune in. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn. I have my own fractional freelance business under HTK Insights, and happy to answer any questions or point people in the right direction if they're looking for companies who are vetted or places where they want to test things. There's a lot of companies out there, and we got to make sure we do our due diligence on them as well. So it's up to all of us, but I'm happy to help shepherd it along. So anything, please connect with me.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you to our listeners out there as well. If you have enjoyed what you've listened to, feel free to reach out to Todd. So Todd Kirby would be more than willing to answer any questions. You're welcome to subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and also share it with others too. Until next time, thanks for listening to Now That's Significant.